Hi, I'm Evelyn Jerome-Alexander. I'm a certified educational planner and I'm the founder of Magellan College Counseling. A couple years ago, I created a video where I reviewed the US News and World Report college rankings because so many people look to the rankings as they're deciding what colleges their children should apply to because they put a lot of faith in those rankings, thinking that that's what tells you if a college is good or not. And so I made a video and I wrote a whole big article sort of telling you, debunking why the rankings were not really giving you the information that you might have thought they were giving you. So this year in 2023, US News came out with a new round of rankings where they changed the methodology and the rankings really got scrambled. Colleges moved a lot. And I want to just share with you a couple things that they did differently. And my goal is to continue to try to convince you that rankings don't tell you if a college is good for your child or not, and to try to convince you to not refer to the rankings as you are deciding or your child is deciding where they should apply to college. So just a couple pieces of information. So just examples. In the previous round of rankings, the methodology, US News and World Report considered class size. Now, it was a very small percentage of the ranking. It was 8% of the methodology. It's actually not very small, but it's small. And now they don't consider class size at all. So I don't really understand how removing a piece of information, a piece of data that actually could be important to you to know, if your child is going to have small classes, that information is not part of the rankings anymore. Faculty salaries were reduced in the new iteration of the rankings. Now, is it important what a college pays its faculty? Well, if you think about faculty salaries as an important way for a college to recruit and retain really top talent, then the truth is faculty salaries are kind of important. There was also a data point called financial resources per student, where they literally look at the entire college budget and they divide it by the number of undergraduate and graduate students that the college has studying there. That used to be 10% of the data that went into the rankings. Now it's 8%. So what they did is they reduced a bunch of data points to make room for some additional data points. Standardized tests, by the way, used to make up about 5% of the rankings. Now they're not included at all because so many colleges don't report their standardized test scores because standardized test scores are not an important part of the admission process anymore. That's another video that I'm going to be making to talk to you about the process. So let me share with you a couple pieces of data that are part of the rankings this year that were not before. And again, this is what they were trying to make room for, right? So they were reducing certain data points so that they could add some data points. Borrower debt, student debt used to be 3%. Now it's 5%. They're making more important how much debt students graduate with. First generation graduation rates were not part of the rankings before. Now they're 3%. First generation student graduation rate performance, in other words, the rate at which those students graduate over the rate at which they were expected to graduate, never used to be part of the rankings. Now it's 2.5%. Student to faculty ratio. Now I consider this a good piece of information. Used to only be 1%. Now it's 3%. So that is actually an important data point to me. But in all of this data, I want to share with you that the most important part of the rankings, the largest chunk that goes into the methodology of ranking colleges, is peer assessment. Let me tell you what that means. It's been 20%. It remains 20%. Every year, US News mails and emails a questionnaire to every admission dean and every college president. And it literally asks, who do you think are the best colleges? Well, what do you think those admission deans and college presidents are going to say? They're going to list themselves. And then, frankly, they live in an echo chamber and they're going to list their peer institutions. So this makes it really hard for the rankings to change, which is why year after year after year, they've been they've stayed pretty stagnant. And, maybe things move around in the top 10, maybe things move around a little bit in the top 50. I do want to share, though, that with the new methodology, and what I'll do is I'll share my screen here for a moment. There's this wonderful resource that we use called More College Data. This is somebody who collects data and then she analyzes it for us and she gives us visualizations like this. So here's the perfect example. Do you really think that American University is 33 spots worse than it was a year ago? And do you think that California State University, Fresno, part of the Cal State system where I live, which was number 250 last year, but suddenly this year they're number 185. Do you really think that they're 65 slots better this year than they were a year ago? They're not. And so all of this mobility, like, look, Clark University, which is a small liberal arts college, small liberal arts college that we love. Clark University suddenly is 45 slots below where it was last year. Why? Why? What happened? Drake University, 41 slots lower. All of these ones with bright orange have moved down significantly. And the ones in blue, like here, East Carolina. Do you really think East Carolina deserved to move up 39 spots this year? What does that tell you? Maybe it means that East Carolina is really good for graduating first-generation students, which may or may not be relevant to you. So the truth is that 39 slot movement probably isn't relevant to you. So what I want to say to you, and I'll share the link for this so you can kind of go through this yourself. What I want to say to you is the rankings are irrelevant to your child. And when you are sitting with your child and deciding where you want them and where they want to apply to college, there's a million things you can consider. There's a million resources you can consider, but the rankings are not one of them, because the rankings don't tell you if a college is a good fit for you. And to be honest with you, with the scrambling of the rankings that we saw this year, if you are one of those people who thinks, and I'm here to shoot this thought down, but if you are one of those people who thinks that attending a top 10, top 25, whatever school, you're set for life, you'll have the alumni support and, you'll get a job and you'll be great no matter where you go, or for the rest of your life. When US News, scrambles up the methodology like they did, colleges came tumbling out of the top 10 and top 25 this year, possibly never to return. Who knows? Does that mean that a school who dropped out of the top 10 or top 25 isn't fabulous? It doesn't mean that. So again, as you're going through this process, I beseech you to look at the environment that your child will succeed in. We always say to families that we work with, I want the same thing you want for your child. I want them to be happy and successful. And the job of building the college list is really to do your research, have them do their research. I'll also post a short little YouTube video that I made that helps students research a college online, right? It helps them think about what are the things that are important. Name and prestige are not important. They may be important to you. It's okay if they're important to you, but name and prestige really won't make your child happy for 4 years and may or may not make them successful for 4 years. So I hope, and what I'll do is I'll post the previous rankings webinar in which I went through all of the data points in the methodology. And then I'll post a link to US News's article where they talk about what they did differently this year so you can see what's changed. It definitely was a big change. And schools, as you could see from the data list, schools got moved around in a huge way this year. And I really hope that just shows you that the rankings are really sort of random and irrelevant. And it's really much more personal deciding where to apply. So I hope this helps. Of course, if you need help, that's what we do. We're Magellan College Counseling. You can click on Contact Us if you'd like to get in touch. Thanks.